What is good, defenders, and welcome back to your favorite pre-match segment. Of course, it's the night before a match, and it's time for one more sleep here on Defenders of the Bank. You know my voice. It's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert, and I am joined not by Philly, not by Lafferty. This is going to be a fun one, you guys. I've got friend of the podcast first. Let's be very, very clear. This man comes in peace. He is the Sporting Tribune journalist and co-host of Lacuna Galaxiana podcast. This is my good friend, Rob Halone. Rob, welcome to One More Sleep.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I do appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Look, Rob and I have talked about Galaxy, LAFC, soccer in the Southland pretty much all week. We've been on Soccer in 60 together. Last night, I was lucky enough to be a guest on his podcast, Lacuna Galaxiana, and now he's here to talk One More Sleep with us. Rob, you and I have done a lot of talking about this matchup. Let's squeeze another 20, 25 minutes out of each other. What do you think?
I'm certainly game. I'm certainly down. I don't know that anything in my opinions have changed, but I mean, there's always like speaking that into existence, right? Like, hey, I hope this happens, but most likely it will not.
Yeah, look, it's Derby number 26 in our two clubs' history. Hard to believe that we've already played 25 times, although, man, they were trying to push 3 and 4 and 5 matches out of us every single season for those first few seasons. I don't miss those days at all, but this is only regular season match number 21 for LAFC, 24 for the Galaxy. And just a quick recap as to where these two teams are. LAFC, of course, 10, 5, and 5, 35 points, 36 goals on the season, just 24 allowed for a plus 12 differential. Fourth place in the West, but third place on points per match as we are looking at all those matches in hand. For the Galaxy, obviously a season to forget, and we'll talk about this, but I'm not here to beat a dead horse, Rob, so don't worry. 3 wins, 14 losses, 6 draws on the year, 15 points, 25 goals, only 45 allowed for a minus 20 differential. That is, of course, 15th and last place in the Western Conference, and those 45 goals allowed are the most in Major League Soccer this season through 24 games. It is a lot, but you guys have played as many games as any other team in MLS. Let's first talk about something, Rob, that you and I were talking about off air real quick, and I want to be perfectly upfront and honest. I did not think at any point this season, Rob, that when a Galaxy supporter started talking any smack to me as an LAFC supporter and fan, that I'd be able to say anything back to them, because you know what? I seem to remember last season ending in the worst possible way for LAFC supporters, right? We watched the LA Galaxy hoist MLS Cup. And by the way, you did it because you were the best team in the league at the end of the season, and there was no doubt about it. You guys were playing the best football. You won, and it was what it was. And then, Rob, you guys went ahead and blew up the whole thing. 15 straight losses, or 15 straight matches without a win to begin the season. Could you have ever imagined going into the season that you would be talking about something like that?
Absolutely not. I mean, I thought they would at least luck themselves into a win or two. I mean, any way that they could have lost a match, they did. I mean, player errors, player mistakes. There was that match against Sporting Kansas City where they lost without having conceded a goal. It was an own goal off Maya Yoshida. I mean, there have been moments where the team has played very badly, and there have been moments where the team has looked really good and still got nothing out of a match. And so when you combine the player losses with players coming in that are new, that don't know the system, plus, the games where they don't play well combined with the games that they do play well and get nothing out of it, it's just a recipe for disaster. It's been a calamitous year. I've said it a bunch of times on Lacuna Galaxiana. I'm sick and tired of writing the same headline for the Tribune over and over again. Galaxy lost in this way. Then this is the way how this time. And it's not unusual though, because it's true to their form for this year. That Greg Vanny said it the other day. This has been our formula. We give up soft goals and we make simple mistakes, and we don't finish our chances. And that's not a recipe for success. So it is surprising that we are talking about this Galaxy team with, only a couple of wins, and let's face it, just a shot in hell to make the playoffs. I mean, I don't think that's happening. It is surprising because it's a reigning champion, and they have a lot of returning players from that squad. Who knows if it'll get better? Who knows if they will actually give the supporters a little bit of joy? Maybe it can start this weekend.
Yeah, and look, the elephant in the room, right, is Ricky Pooch. Without Ricky Pooch in the lineup, it has been a nightmare of a season for Galaxy. They obviously will not have him tomorrow. Targeting, from what I hear, at earliest now, a late August comeback. Although the questions have to be like, for what? I don't know that maybe you risk injury. I don't know. But let's look at the rest of the season. After those 15 matches, it hasn't been very bad, right? 3 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 12 goals, 9 allowed. So back as a at least middle of the road club over those last 7 matches, right? So dangerous sometimes, not dangerous at others. You guys will go several matches looking pretty good, and then inexplicably lay an egg or 2 this season. But let's talk about one other thing that I think is pretty important for at least LAFC supporters coming into this match. We've never lost to the Galaxy in front of supporters at home. The only loss coming in 2020 when there were still COVID restrictions. This is an interesting time to catch LAFC because of the captain, Aaron Long. We saw how well we played against a very good Minnesota club, how collected our back line was. But it's going to be an interesting second match, first one at home in front of the 3252 without Aaron Long. Your thoughts on what BMO Stadium does maybe to the Galaxy a little bit, if anything at all?
It's always a big atmosphere, the 3252 makes himself felt. The crowd there makes himself felt, and that's why this weekend will be kind of unusual in that Galaxy supporters have already declared that they won't be there en masse. So it will be not only if the Galaxy win, the first win in front of supporters there at BMO, but it'll be done without their own supporters in the stands. So I mean, I guess like JP from Angels in the Outfield said, it could happen.
Yeah, look, it's definitely not the easiest situation to walk into. Couple of questions for you before we talk about some of the players that we're certainly going to be watching. Juliet Aude, any update? I know he left last match with concussion protocol issues. Any update on whether or not we'll have Juliet Aude tomorrow for you guys?
No update. There was no media availability. We didn't have a chance to talk to Greg. There was a midweek game, so we just spoke to him the other day. And you're absolutely correct. I mean, that's exactly what he said. It's a concussion protocol. They were trying to be proactive and not risking him. Of course, if he's not there, it'll be a big miss. Started the last 5 matches and had played wonderfully doing so.
And played pretty well against us in that 2-2 draw back down at your place, if I remember correctly. The other question that I have to ask, because we got a little skin in that game, it's one of your keepers used to play up the road for us a little bit. What the hell is going on in between the pipes for you guys? 4 goalkeepers equals none almost, it seems like, right?
Yeah, entirely too many keepers. At the beginning of the year, it's no secret that it was just a merry-go-round between Mitrovic and John McCarthy. It led to instability in the back line. And I mean, you saw Mitrovic making mistakes, but you saw John McCarthy making mistakes. Finally, Mitrovic is kind of starting to emerge into that keeper that Greg Vanney thought that he was getting when the Galaxy paid more than $1 million for them. But, yeah, I mean, at this point, Greg Vanney is going to go with Mitrovic. I mean, that's his guy. He's already stated it a couple of times. He stated that he wanted Mitrovic to be his guy starting last year, but John McCarthy made it impossible. But I do, since you mentioned it, I do see 4 as too many, and I do expect one of these keepers to be leaving in the transfer window.
Yeah, it's and unfortunately, it looks like it might be John, right? He seems to be kind of the odd man out there.
The numbers indicate.
All I know is we had him and we did okay. I don't love what I see from either Thomas Asal or David Ochoa. So maybe we bring back John. I don't know. That could be really interesting. What I love about John, and you've probably experienced this too in all your pressers, is the dude just tells it like it is, right? If he's got something to say, he'll say it. He's very upfront. Let's talk about
family's so nice too, man.
Oh yeah, super great dude. Absolutely love John. He was always really nice to us here too. Look, you guys do score goals in bunches. The problem is it's 5 players doing it, right? You got Christian Ramirez, Marco Royce, and Joseph Paintsel with 5 on the season, and Diego Fagundes and Gabriel Peck with 4. This is across all competitions, right? And I think if you were to ask any, even a layman fan of Major League Soccer, yeah, those would be the 5 guys that you would expect your offense to be going through. The problem is the setup just hasn't been there. Just Marco Royce on the season with more than 2 assists. He's got 6. He's been incredible, kind of turned back the hands of Father Time a little bit, but kind of looking for somebody else to step up. Let me ask you, the 2 names that really resonate with most of our supporters would certainly be Joseph Paintsel and Gabriel Peck. What's been missing from those 2 guys to really unlock that offense for you guys this year?
Simple execution. I mean, Greg's talked about it a couple times. I mean, they're getting into those good positions. He just simply wants them to go at speed. He says that for whatever reason, they're decelerating, which gives them A, the defense time to catch up, and B, themselves time to second guess themselves, right? And so you see that both of them are kind of suffering from confidence as well. You see Gabriel Peck missing sitters. You see Joseph Paintsel missing sitters. When they score, they have scored, in kind of bunches, like you said, but it hasn't been consistent and it hasn't been good enough, especially for two DPs that showed you of what they're capable last year. Excuse me.
Yeah, and you got to wonder how much longer can Marco Royce keep the hands of Father Time off of that soccer ball. That sounded really dirty, actually, that I said that. I apologize. And that being said, I think the other thing,
yellow card, man.
Yeah, right. That's phrasing. I think the thing that we're looking at too, with Galaxy trying to just throw everything on the wall and see what sticks. We've played 3 more matches overall this season than Galaxy have, but you already have 15 players with over 1,000 minutes, and we only have 11. It's got to be frustrating, got to be difficult as a lineup, as a unit, to begin to get any rhythm when it seems like it's been plug and play for the last 10, 15 games or so, for sure.
No, I mean, once Greg found his lineup, he's kind of had the same basic 11 for like the last 5 or 6 matches. It took him a while to get to where he could trust that the 11 on the field were going to play the way he wanted them to play. The problem is that, just like you said with Marco Royce, I mean, he'll get a knock and he'll miss a game here and there. Then you'll have key contributors out, like, for example, Julian Aude might be missing. So that does put a knock on the system. But it's going to be interesting to see if John Nelson can come in and kind of plug that hole. And he's known for more of a defensive player. What you're losing in Julian Aude is the ability to kind of skip through the lines and progress that ball. John Nelson's not that kind of player, but he's going to have to get a little bit of offense in him for the Galaxy to be successful if he does get the nod in this one.
All right, last question before we get into some stuff here. After 183 matches, how does the fan base really feel about Greg Vanney?
Oh, wow. That's varied. You get everything in the Galaxy community, from he is the worst thing to happen to the Galaxy to, hey, he won the title last year. He deserves 3 years and all the time in the world. Let him work, I personally was surprised that he got the extension. I like Greg a lot. He's great to interview. He's very transparent. He's a very nice guy. But in footballing terms, if we're going to say that this is a business, he hasn't delivered the results, the business results that for the resources that he has. But since he has the extension at this point, it's back your guy. And hopefully the Galaxy are going to be able to back their guy a little bit with something in the transfer window. But you mentioned it earlier. It might be too little, too late. Mathematically, still possible, but I always say impossible, but improbable.
Yeah, no, I hear you. After 183 matches, 4 games over 500 in those 183 matches.
Not good enough.
It's been an interesting time down there for sure. All right, that being said, what I love is Rob played along with us. So he knows our slides. He knows what we do here on One More Sleep. So Rob emailed me his picks. I've got him here on slides, you guys. And now we get to talk about our players to watch. And I was worried. I'm not going to show mine yet. Just give me a second here. I got to build up a little. Got to build up a little little drama. I was worried because I told Rob, I said, pick me one player from each side, knowing that I was going to cheat today, But I had a reason for why I'm going to cheat. You'll understand. I'll explain it. And I think Rob will pick up on it as soon as he sees who the 2 players are. And then Rob emailed me his and he cheated. So we're good. Everything is great. I'm very happy about this. And we both cheated in the same way. So this will be fun. My players to watch, first and foremost, for LAFC is Eddie Segura. I wanted to put in Kosi Tafari back here again. And obviously, everybody will be watching Nkosi Tafari in this match, filling the shoes, albeit in a 5-2-3 rather than our typical 4-3-3 of our captain, Aaron Long. But Eddie Segura will now, with playing in this match, will become the second most capped player in LAFC history, passing Latif Blessing. And I think it might be time to give Eddie Segura a little bit of credit for coming back from an awful injury himself and then coming back from setbacks after trying to come back from that injury. He looks like he's finally himself again. There was a period in the match against Minnesota where he was leading the break down the left-hand side, and I went, Eddie, you don't have that in your bag, bud. Like, pull back. Just pass it on forward. Pull back. But he didn't know that. He ran it all the way down the left-hand side, started a break. I think it's time for Eddie Segura to get some love. He is now going to be the second most capped player in our club's history.
Wow.
For the Galaxy, what led them to trouble last match, what's led them to trouble at several points throughout this last season, is the 2 players who led them in touches against Austin were Miki Yamane and Maya Yoshida. And I just don't think that Galaxy can afford to have Miki Yamane and Maya Yoshida be their 2 most 2 players with the most touches in this match. They cannot afford to play out of the back against LAFC. And moreover, if they're getting lots of touches because of how offensive LAFC is being, I think that really shows the kind of night that players like Denis Bouanga, David Martinez, Nathan Ordaz, and Javier Del Rosen are going to have. That's the only reason why I paired them up, because those were the 2 players that led your team in touches last match and have done so many times throughout the season. So I know I cheated just a little bit, but I'm going with Yamane and Yoshida for the Galaxy, Eddie Segura for LAFC. And now, my friends, I give you Rob's players to watch.
Yeah, I said Sanabria and Fagundes, and really it's more like Sanabria or Fagundes. Everybody knows that the Galaxy midfield right now has, or at least for the last couple matches, has been Edwin Cerrillo, Marco Reus, and Diego Fagundes. However, one of the keys, and this is kind of like maybe a mini spoiler, is the importance of the midfield. And so if you're Greg Vanney, do you go for a more combative midfielder with, a little bit more strength, a little bit more legs, younger, more mobile, to kind of win you some tackles, get you some bite there in the midfield? Or do you go with Diego Fagundes, who's been playing great in the last couple of matches, and he's been dropping deep to link that defense with attack? I mean, him and Marco Reus have been combining very, very well. So whoever it is that gets that start in that midfield 3 between these 2 players, Sanabria or Fagundes, is going to give you a good indication of how the Galaxy are going to want to play. If they're going to want to play the way they've been playing and slow, methodical, building out of the back, like you mentioned, or if they're going to cede possession a little bit and try to bite back and win that midfield, get the ball back and try to hit on the break. And then for LAFC, It's Mark Delgado. Just quite simply, he knows Greg's system. He is a man that Greg called the great equalizer. He's been fantastic for LAFC. I mean, he's still a great player, and not only does he already know a lot of the Galaxy's tendencies, but he's a player that is bedded in very, very well into his new team. And maybe I might be speaking out of turn, but has become a fan favorite. Who knows? So, yeah, for me, it's Mark Delgado. I believe he scored in the last one. Did he score in the last match?
No, didn't score in the last match, but look, he certainly has become a fan favorite. And I'll tell you, obviously, you know this because you and I talked about it. When he signed, there wasn't a lot of love for Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, but since then, he's done every single thing he's needed to do to not just ingratiate him with the fan base, obviously, but to earn a potential captain's armband. He was one of the guys that we were talking about when Aaron Long went down. Does it go to Mark Delgado? Now it's obviously it's gone to Hugo Lloris, but Mark Delgado would not have been a bad choice if you didn't have France's captain for all those years in goal for you.
Just some guy named Hugo Lloris, you know.
So I was so glad because I knew what you meant by Sanabria and Fagundes. It's going to be one or the other, right? And they likely one may come off for the other at some point.
That's what. That's what's been happening in the last couple of games. You know, the Galaxy have been trying to hold on to leads against DC United and against Vancouver. Sanabria comes in, gives them that kind of steal ahead of the back four.
Yeah. So, and he's played very well for you guys as of late. I think he's really kind of grown in to his role. Him and Nascimento, I think, have really kind of come along this season for you guys rather nicely. All right, let's get to my keys to the match. The first and foremost, and I'm pretty much looking at you for both of these, number 99, Denis Bouanga. If you watched the last match, you obviously saw the very, very good side of Denis Bouanga finishing a penalty in an absolutely perfect spot against an incredible goalkeeper. You guys heard me call him a mutant. He is Mr. Fantastic. It is not fair what Dane St. Clair is able to do back there in goal. And so Denis put it in the top shelf, right where I like to keep the good tequila, right? That's up there. And it was a beautiful, beautiful penalty shot. And then he had to play the last 5 minutes of the match. And unfortunately for Denis Bouanga, missed two for him are absolute sitters. I'm sorry. The first one, especially the chip missing wide left. The second, again, Dane St. Clair's a mutant, so it's not fair, but still making that incredible save. Denis got to finish those last two chances. And I'm sorry, in a match where time after time after time, the stars need to show up. We know we don't have a supervillain in Zlatan anymore. And I'll be perfectly honest, only one side, in my opinion, has a player who really can come out of that phone booth wearing a cape in Denis Bouanga. I just don't think that Galaxy have a player, the likes and the stature of a Denis Bouanga who can really take over a game all by themselves. And I know Gabriel Peck is going to hear this and go, oh, really? Hold my beverage, because here I come. He is an insanely talented player.
But he hasn't been on.
He has not been on this season. Absolutely. So I'm looking at Denis Bouanga when I'm talking about finishing chances. I am okay with Denis Bouanga being more of, as Philly would say, the destroyer than the facilitator in this one. I know you lead our team in assists, Denis, but on this one, if you need to take the extra shot, you are our guy. We want you on that wall. We need you on that wall. And Denis is going to have one of those performances where he puts the offense in the backpack and carries them across the pitch. So finishing our chances and getting Denis involved early, those are my keys to the match. One of ours, pretty similar, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. Executing on your chances, and I'll touch on that in a second again. But yeah, I kind of already spoke about winning the midfield, how important that is, being able to dictate the rhythm. And I mean, let's face it, the Galaxy are already going to be up against it. They're away from home in an imposing stadium without any fans, so they're going to have to give themselves a chance to win by keeping the ball well. If they're needlessly giving away the ball, if they're not able to control the ball in the midfield, if they're not able to control somewhat the tempo by slowing the game down, then it's going to be a long day. And I mean, let's face it, they're already the underdogs, and it's going to be another reason to add to that. And executing the chances. I mean, they've created a lot. The build-up play has been really, really good at times in the previous matches. And just when you think they're going to score a peach of a goal, somebody fluffs their lines or shoots straight at the keeper. So they've made the chances. Now you got to put them away, especially in a game like this. If you want any chance of making the playoffs again, improbable, not impossible, mathematically still possible, right? You're gonna have to win a match like this and show yourself who you are, right? This is a big match against your city rival, which is a good team, and you need this kind of win to give yourself the confidence and momentum to go on and do big things if you're going to do anything at all.
And look, you guys are still playing for 2 trophies at the end of the year, right? You've still got Leagues Cup, you've still got Campeones Cup, so it's not like there's absolutely nothing to play for, right? We've both still got Leagues Cup. We had our chances at a couple of other things this season, but that being said, it is one of those matches where you just feel like this in the regular season, this may be the last thing that they're playing for as they play out the string. It'll be interesting to see which first 15 minutes. It'll be interesting to see which Galaxy team and which LAFC team show up for this one. And I actually think I've got my score prediction up here, 3-1 LAFC. But I said this on your podcast last night, and I'm going to say it again tonight here on One More Sleep. I actually wouldn't be surprised if LAFC goes down a goal to start this match and then has to come and will come roaring back behind an Ibawanga, behind a defense that will sharpen their focus just a little bit more. I think one of the things that I enjoy the most about this club, and I'm going to get a ration of garbage from some of you out there, is that when Steve Cherundolo is on, when he has pulled all the right strings, our second halves look very, very good. When we need to make some of the adjustments, oftentimes Steve tends to pull the right strings and push the right buttons. That being said, I look at our second half against Galaxy at their place earlier in the season, and I'm going to say something that I've said on our podcast when we talked about that episode. We talked about that match, excuse me. If that game goes 10 minutes longer, we lose 3-2. We don't draw 2-2 in that match. We lose 3-2 because we were out-executed, outplayed in the second half. So I'm looking forward to not just our boys showing up there on the pitch, but for Steve Cherundolo to have yet one more reason before he walks out the door at the end of 2025 to plant his flag in the ground and say, this is why you brought me here. You are going to miss me when I am gone. And this is my last big signature win until we get to the playoffs. I think this is going to be a huge one for us because I think the comeback after going down 1-0, how much we are able to respond is really going to be the key to this one. So I've got 3-1 LAFC.
Yeah, I mean, I told you last night, I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. It's been the formula again for the Galaxy. I mean, get a couple of goals and then just give it away. It happened against San Diego. They gave up a lead. It happened against Orlando. They gave up a lead. It happened against Philly. They gave up a lead. So if they do go up a goal and it's early, then yeah, I totally see it happening that they're not able to hold on to it. I don't think that there's a Galaxy win here. Let's face it. I mean, they just haven't looked great all season, and when they've looked good, they haven't been at their best. I mean, only one game all year, which could arguably be the one against Vancouver, and even in that one, they were wasteful. So I just don't think that they have enough right now to be able to pull out this win with no supporters. Dropping a very winnable game against Austin, that's gonna hurt your confidence. I mean, if they do somehow come out and get this win, it's massive for so many reasons. Not least that, again, it just helps your confidence so much. But I just don't see it, and so that's why I'm calling it a 2-1 LAFC win. I hope I'm wrong. chat's probably crucifying me right now, but I do hope I'm wrong. But more than anything, I'd like to see a really good game. I mean, the average of goals in this game is usually 4.3. Hopefully, it's more akin to what your scoreline is. 3-1, 3-2, something like that, where we see a bunch of goals and there's a lot of excitement.
Yeah, look, that's the bottom line, right? This MLS, if you ask Don Garber, he wants this game to end 8-7 if it could, right? Because all the eyes are going to be on this one. He wants to market the absolute hell out of it. And look, it has become, in just 26 matches now, the best rivalry in Major League Soccer. All due respect, and some of you guys know, before I was an LAFC fan, I was a big Seattle supporter. I had a really good time watching them from afar. I got a bunch of free stuff for testing a bunch of Xbox games back in the day. And some of the free stuff I got was a Seattle Sounders jersey. So I thought, that's kind of cool. Let me check these guys out. And I got to go to both sides of that Seattle-Portland rivalry. I made the walk. I had all the fun. That was back in like 2009, 2010. Those were the fun days in that rivalry. This absolutely blows all of that out of the water. It is, in my opinion, and I might offend some UCLA USC people out here with the rivalry, but I think it is really now the best depiction of a true city rivalry in Los Angeles. I'm sorry, Angels fans. I'm sorry, Clippers fans. I'm sorry, Ducks fans. None of those hold a candle to anything going on in this match right here. And don't get me started about the Chargers. Go back home to San Diego. I love Justin Herbert, but go back home. Look, really excited to have had Rob on. And by the way, the chat has been wonderful. They are a very nice group here. They'll come down on you when they need to, but they did not today. So very much appreciated. Tony, hey, welcome to the chat. It's going to be a lot of fun, you guys. I hope everybody out there at BMO is able to get to the game safely, get home safely, and above all, look, Rob and I have talked about this on several times, and I'm going to say it again. There is zero reason to not be able to show up for your family, show up for work, show up healthy, or do whatever else it is you need to do after the match on Saturday or Sunday because you decide to do something stupid at BMO Stadium on Saturday night. I don't care what crest you're wearing, what side you're for. None of us want to tell the story of why X, Y, or Z happened that you couldn't be there for your family and friends the next day. So please be safe, be smart out there. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to just walk away. If we're going to argue over stuff like this, believe me, this world, there's enough going on in there right now. We don't need to bring that into the stands at BMO. So, Rob, I really do want to say thank you for coming on. Real quick, where can they find not just the Lacuna Galaxiana podcast, because I don't know how many people are going to migrate over to that podcast, but you mentioned that you're also a Sporting Tribune journalist. Where can they find your work? Yeah, you can check out thesportingtribune.com. Certainly, I'm going to be covering this match here this weekend. We do have a couple of different colleagues that cover LAFC as well, so you can catch their coverage on the Sporting Tribune. You can catch Lacuna Galaxiana at Lacuna Galaxiana pretty much everywhere. So if you do want to go ahead and hate stalk the rival, you guys can pop over there and check it out. But while I'm here, I want to say thank you to JR and Defenders. And I know all y'all in chat out there shouldn't be listening to me, but if you do listen to me on one thing, it is this: go ahead and support these guys. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I know, because we do it for the other side of the 110, how much work goes into a show like this. So go ahead and show these boys a lot of love. Hit the subscribe, hit that like, and yeah, let them feel that appreciation. I appreciate you, Rob, and I appreciate everybody in the chat. Again, however it is that you access Defenders of the Bank content, we so appreciate and love all of you so much. And honestly, guys, it's going to be a fun one tomorrow. I've got 3-1. And Rob, surprisingly for us, also has 2-1. Let us know what you've got. Either hit us up on all our social media outlets or in the chat here. Thank you guys so much, and love you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.